The Animal Crossing community really is in shambles. Someone had to say it. 2020 was the year of Animal Crossing. Existing Animal Crossing fans were happy to finally get a new mainline game after a long time, while many others picked up New Horizons as their first Animal Crossing game. All in all, the game was a success, as it is currently the second highest selling Nintendo Switch game of all time. However, we are over halfway into 2021 and the Animal Crossing community has been slowly withering away, with many people not picking up the game for weeks or even months. I wouldn't be surprised if there are people out there who haven't picked it up since 2020. Some people are even going so far as to call Animal Crossing New Horizons a dead game, and it's only been about a year and a half since the game was released. Some are still addicted to the game as much as they were last year, but for most people that just doesn't seem to be the case. Why is that? Well, let me give my 2 cents as to why this is happening. If you have your own opinions on this, leave a comment down below. I'd love to know what you think. The anticipation for Animal Crossing New Horizons release was a great time, honestly, with trailers showing new mechanics like placing furniture outside, customising said furniture, and having the ability to terraform. It got a lot of people hyped. I remember watching update videos with my sister on the daily during these times. I also remember sitting in a subway watching an Animal Crossing Direct or something like that during my lunch break shortly before New Horizons was about to be released. Good times. Fast forward to the release of New Horizons, a good portion of people were busy having fun with these new mechanics while being locked indoors. It was honestly a game that we all needed during those times, and is no doubt why New Horizons did so well. But after a while, the thought occurred in some of our heads. Is this really all we can do? Don't get me wrong, it's no easy task to make your island or house look amazing. It's also no easy task to complete your Critterpedia. There's no shortage of things to do in those certain departments. But what else is there to do besides that? Sure, we have seasonal festivals and contests that happen every now and then, but I'm talking about the daily things. Sometimes you just don't want to think about terraforming or interior design. Sometimes it's too much of a drag to find that last fish that you need for the month. There's a shortage of daily things to do. Since if you think about it, the tasks that we currently have are a little overwhelming. I'd be perfectly happy if we could go to Mystery Islands together with friends, in all honesty. It would make the seating area in the airports a lot more useful. But hey, these are just my opinions. And don't even talk to me about the repetition of the villagers' dialogue. Speaking of which, I can kind of link this to point number 2. I mainly speak as an Animal Crossing fan who has been a fan of the franchise since before the release of New Horizons in this point. But if you're a player who was introduced to Animal Crossing through New Horizons, comment down below if you think the game feels incomplete for you and why. But for now, I can only speak for the people who knew Animal Crossing from the previous games, since I am one of them. And even then, this is just my subjective opinion. Let's time travel back to the previous games. I remember first playing Animal Crossing City Folk after only having played Wild World as a kid. While many things were the same between the two games, City Folk felt like an upgrade in the series because of the city elements. Other than that, the format of the game didn't change, we still had the same NPCs, and we even had the same soundtrack. Then, many years later, I remember going from Animal Crossing Wild World to Animal Crossing New Leaf. New Leaf also felt like a true upgrade in the series. Again, the format of the game stayed the same NPCs were in the game with others being added, and Tortimer Island was probably one of the best things to ever happen in the entire Animal Crossing franchise. Nothing was taken away and no drastic things were changed. Rather, new things were added while still feeling like a classic Animal Crossing game. The transition from Animal Crossing New Leaf to Animal Crossing New Horizons is weird. Not in a bad way, I do love New Horizons. Don't take this as me saying, oh, the old games are better, because honestly, New Horizons is so different to anything we've ever seen in the mainline Animal Crossing games. While we have the freedom to do a lot of things that we were never able to do in the previous games, like exterior design, the thing we've lost in New Horizons is the classic formats that the Animal Crossing franchise had kept up until now. The formats of the previous games were simple. You live among villagers while fishing, fossil hunting, and bug hunting. New Horizons still has the option for you to do that, but that option is completely overshadowed by the task of building up an entire deserted island. And even if you're not in this game for the exterior design elements, rather you're a completionist who wants to collect everything and everything, I can't imagine the experience being similar to that of any other previous Animal Crossing game. Then again, I'm not a completionist, so I wouldn't know. Maybe one of the reasons why it feels so different, for the entire franchise up until New Horizons, we lived in towns rather than deserted islands. Before moving on to the next point, let me just address the elephant in the room. The death of many NPCs. Animal Crossing New Horizons excluded so many old NPCs, which has probably added to this weird feeling that some of us might be feeling. We lost a lot of classic NPCs, like Pele and Phyllis, characters that had stuck around since the beginning of the entire franchise. And these characters are most likely not going to be coming back in New Horizons. Katrina has been trapped in the Nintendo online app. NPCs come to the Plaza randomly, rather than being available on a daily basis, and us going to them in their respective shops out of our own choice. And I do get it. It's a new setting, it's a desert island. I do understand why they've made that choice. However, the only classic NPC that we can really hope to see is Brewster, and even then he's nowhere to be seen in any of these updates. I know we can always go back to the older games if I want that classic Animal Crossing feel, where all the NPCs are there, but it's just weird not having them all in New Horizons when it is a mainline game, and that has been the case up until now. There are many reasons why veteran Animal Crossing fans might feel like the game is incomplete, and in my opinion, it's mainly because New Horizons has so many new and shiny elements to it that a lot of Animal Crossing's fundamentals, the ones that we've been used to seeing from any other mainline game, has just been thrown off a terraformed cliff. I don't really have my hopes for updates these days. Updates just seem to be cosmetic items for festivals from around the globe. Which isn't bad, of course. At least we're getting new items, and it's nice to see some inclusivity from events that I might have not known about up until now. But when people keep spamming Nintendo to add Brewster to the game, and it turns out that an update just consists of, a couple of new pieces of clothing or something, people aren't going to be too pleased. Nintendo have proven that they can listen to what the people want. Just like when they added the option to add more design slots. Perhaps it's frustrating people that the updates aren't anything of substance, at least from the standards that we are setting in our own minds. The Animal Crossing community is split into those who haven't played for months and those who are as obsessed as they were when they first got it. Hey, someone might have just picked up the game today and are loving it like how we used to back in 2020. Even I've come back to the game a little more in my own free time recently to do up parts of my island that I felt needed an upgrade, but it's taken me almost a year to come back and do that. Animal Crossing New Horizons is a great game. I don't want anybody to think that I don't like New Horizons. Clearly from my channel, I do. This video has just been my opinions as to why the Animal Crossing community is so split, and my opinions as to why people have their criticisms about the game. But yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts. Why do you think Animal Crossing, or the Animal Crossing community in general, is in shambles? What are your thoughts? I would love to know what you think. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let's have a conversation down below. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.